On the morning of March 24th, 2015, at 9:27 a.m., an Airbus A320-211, operated by Germanwings, made its way from Barcelona to Dusseldorf. Everything seemed routine. The captain acknowledged a clearance from air traffic control, and all appeared normal. But just minutes later, things started to go wrong. At 9:32 a.m., air traffic controllers in Marseille noticed that the aircraft had dropped in altitude, almost 2,000 feet below its expected cruising height, and it was still descending. When they tried to reach the flight crew, there was no response. Over the next several minutes, controllers made multiple attempts to contact the plane, using different frequencies and even involving a military air defense controller. But there was still no reply. By 9:40 a.m., radar contact was lost. The French controllers issued a distress signal, signaling that the aircraft and its passengers were in imminent danger. Just a minute later, the plane crashed into the French Alps. Rescue teams had to be flown in by helicopter because the crash site was inaccessible by road. The aircraft was obliterated, leaving only small pieces scattered over a vast area. While the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder were recovered within the same week, both were severely damaged. As investigators pieced together the data, a chilling truth began to emerge. The crash had been caused by intentional actions, not a mechanical failure. Here's what happened. After reaching cruise altitude, the captain stepped out of the cockpit at 9:30 a.m., leaving the co-pilot in charge. Almost immediately, the co-pilot began altering the aircraft's altitude settings. When the captain returned 4 minutes later, he found the cockpit door locked. Despite repeated attempts to enter, the door remained sealed. The co-pilot had deliberately locked him out and was now alone in the cockpit, controlling the plane's descent. This was a deliberate act of hijacking, not by terrorists, but by the co-pilot himself. Following post-9/11 safety protocols, cockpit doors were designed to be impenetrable, even in emergency situations. In this case, the co-pilot had used the door's locking mechanism to prevent the captain from regaining control of the aircraft. As the plane descended, the captain repeatedly tried to break down the door, but it was reinforced to withstand forceful attempts. At 9:39, the cockpit voice recorder captured the sound of violent blows against the door as the captain struggled in vain. Meanwhile, the plane continued its deadly descent, and all aboard, 144 passengers, 4 crew members, and both pilots perished. Among the passengers was a school class returning from a field trip to Spain. The captain, Patrick Sondenheimer, was a dedicated father of 2 with years of flying experience. In the aftermath of his death, his wife established a foundation in his name to help children cope with grief and loss. The co-pilot, aged 27, had always been passionate about flying, but his career was marred by mental health struggles. Despite being diagnosed with depression in his early 20s, he continued his flight training. By the time of the crash, he was dealing with severe mental health issues, including hypochondria and psychosis. 4 days before the flight, he had even researched the Airbus A320's cockpit locking system. His depression and mental instability were overlooked, and despite numerous sick notes from doctors, he continued to fly. The tragic crash raises uncomfortable questions about the mental health screening of pilots. Mental health is often harder to assess than physical health, and pilots are expected to self-report any issues. But in this case, the co-pilot's history of mental illness was not fully disclosed, and he kept flying despite being unfit to do so. In the wake of the tragedy, the European Aviation Safety Agency recommended new safety regulations, including increased psychological screening for pilots. Airlines also adopted a 2-person in the cockpit at all times rule, though Lufthansa has since phased it out. Meanwhile, Germanwings was rebranded as Eurowings in 2015. While Lufthansa compensated the families of the victims, no amount of money can ease the profound grief they experienced. This heartbreaking event serves as a reminder of the complex factors that contribute to such tragedies, and the need for better safety protocols to prevent them from happening again. In the end, this video was a difficult one to produce, as it involved deep research and sensitive subject matter. But we hope it raises awareness about the importance of mental health in aviation safety. If you'd like to learn more about this or other topics, check out the resources we've linked below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.